everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Final Four Rewind. I'm your host, Bill Rowland. This is brought to you by Jim McKay Chevrolet. And it's my pleasure to be joined to do a little one-on-one with Father Campbell. He was a sophomore guard on that run to the Final Four, had a long career over in Europe as well. So, Father, welcome in. It's good to talk to you again in a one-on-one setting.
Good to talk to you too, Bill.
So let's go back before we get to your career overseas. Let's talk a little bit about that Final Four run one more time. And specifically, let's talk about what I think is still the most iconic shot from that run. And that was your fadeaway over Rudy Gay in overtime with the shot clock winding down. And I remember my play-by-play calling it, saying, you know, the shot clock's under 10. I don't know if they realize it. And then you kind of looked up at the shot clock and then just took that fadeaway and knocked it down. Tell me about what was going through your mind on that possession.
You know what's crazy? I actually was talking about this the other day. Somebody brought it up. And in my mind, this is what I was thinking. And this is what I heard, but Coach L never said anything. So when the ball was being swung around, I had it on the wing, and I think Coach L was right behind me. And all I heard was, take him. So when I heard that, I was like, because I was waiting for, I think Ja was coming to set a ball screen or something like that. The first Ja was posting up. And then he came out to set a ball screen. So when he came out, I'm like, all right, now we got to use the ball screen. But I think I heard Coach L say, take him. So when he said take him, that was like, oh, okay, now I got the green light. So that this is my time to shoot. As a sophomore, you know, you got the seniors there, but as a sophomore, it's like, all right, this is my time to shoot. So I just drove baseline. He cut me off. And I mean, the guy's 6'8", you know what I mean? So I just had to do a little fade, and I ended up making a shot. And I mean, still to this day, man, it's probably one of the biggest shots I've made in my career, you know, as a college athlete and as a pro. And even after the game, Coach L never said anything about, you know, I told you to take it. So I don't know if it was a mental thing or if he said it, but I'm just glad I hit the shot, though.
You just wanted the green light. That's all it was.
That's all I needed.
Excuse, right?
Exactly. That's all I needed. And as a sophomore, once you get that green light, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take it. I got to take advantage of it.
So you and Will, a couple years later, end up leading the team back to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, that didn't turn out as well as 2006 did. But what was that experience like now, a couple years later, when you're seniors leading the team to, again, an NCAA tournament bid?
What made this a little more different is that we won the CAA championship that year, our senior year. And that was a goal of me and Will and also John Vaughn, you know, coming in and Jordan Carter, all coming in as freshmen. We wanted to win a CAA championship. And the fact that we were able to get there winning the CAA championship was, you know, an achievement in itself. And then going back to the going to the tournament, even though we lost the first round, it made me appreciate that run even more. Because going into that game against Notre Dame, I said, oh, we about to make another run. I just thought it would come easy. And then we ended up getting smacked. I mean, it was a bad loss. And I know I played bad that game, and I remember, and again, in the interview, I just remember crying. You know what I mean? It was not even just a loss in my final year, but it just made me appreciate what we did our sophomore year even more. That's it.
So after that, you head off to Europe to continue your pro career. Tell me about your time over there and all the different countries you've been able to play in and see and everything else, and kind of what your favorite stop has been.
Yeah, man. After that, I was blessed to play in Italy the year after. Had a great time in Italy. I've played in Italy, Germany, Poland, Israel, Latvia, and Venezuela. So I've been, you know, all over the place, and just been blessed, man, to indulge in other culture and see other places that I've never even thought about going. You know, for instance, Poland and Latvia. I never would have, you know, thought of taking my family to Latvia and going to see Riga, you know what I mean, and places like that. And I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed my time out there. It was fun, you know.
How much bonding goes on? Because I know the rules there in Europe, in particular leagues, you can only have so many imports, so many Americans or whatever. When you get on a team and there's only maybe one or, you know, two other players from the U.S., do you guys bond a little bit more because you have a kind of that shared background of playing college basketball?
Oh, for sure. I mean, each country is different on the amount of imports they can have, but you got to have that bonding because you're in a foreign country. You know what I mean? And I've been in two countries, especially like Venezuela, where I mean they speak Spanish, but it was still like they didn't speak English either. So my teammates hardly spoke English, so we had a translator. But I was there with another American, so we were able to communicate. But we also had the translator as well. So you got to have that bond, and especially if we're going to be the leaders of the team, we got to be able to communicate with them also. So we had that bond, and then we had the translator. But it's like a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like once you get there, you guys create a new friendship, and the next thing you know, you guys are long-term friends for life.
How difficult is it to kind of translate basketball, which you can, a coach can go out and kind of demonstrate what he's looking for from you without having to speak English. But how tough is it when you're in the game and you're trying to talk to one of your teammates and explain to them what you want to do and they don't understand you and you can't understand them?
No, it's tough, but I mean, basketball is a universal language. You know, I mean, you've played it for so long, and they played it for so long. So it's like, we know what a backdoor cut is, we know what a pick and roll is, and I mean, again, but this is the part that I take in, and like I said, indulging in a different culture. Like it's on me to, first of all, I know a little bit of Spanish, but also it's on me to accommodate to them. I'm in their country. I can't just expect them to accommodate to me. So that's what I say by it's just like me just being able to indulge in their culture and be one with them. So that's another part of just transitioning.
Did you find it to be any more pressure coming from the U.S.? Is there still kind of that stigma of U.S. players coming over there and they expect you to be one of the top players in the league right off the bat because the U.S. is so dominant, even in international competition, Olympics and FIBA and that kind of stuff? Did you feel that pressure when you got there in some places like, well, this is an American player, he should be really good?
No, for sure. I mean, usually they bring in the Americans to, do stuff that the locals might not be able to do. Just depending on the country. I mean, Spain, those players are just as good as American players. I mean, that's why their national team is always as good. Italy's, Russia, all those places just as well. But it's some countries like a Venezuela, where they bring you in there to facilitate for everybody, to score, to defend. So it just depends on where you're going. But you're definitely brought there for a reason. And like I said, whether it's to facilitate, get their players involved, or do what you have to do, but they expect a lot from you. You know what I mean? And that's why, certain players get, a certain amount of money, but they really do expect a lot from the Americans.
So when the playing career is over, whenever that may be, what's the next step for you as far as basketball goes? Are you looking to stay in the game through coaching or training, or is it going to be, I know you have a 13-year-old son that's into basketball. Is it just going to kind of be watching his career? What do you have planned?
No, I definitely want to stay active with basketball, whether it's coaching. Also, I would love to get up to Mason, and do something with Mason. Just that it doesn't have to be coaching, but I would love to help the program out, the athletic department. That would be a big part of it. But we're still looking to see what we're going to do. We have a lot of other stuff, small investments going on. So I'm excited about the next journey.
Talk to me about watching your son play. I had the privilege, you were here doing basketball camp a couple of years ago, and I was there as well. And your son played for me that week, and I could see a lot of you in him. But what's it like to watch your son grow up and love the game that you've kind of made your mark in and your career in, and now watching him kind of start to go through those same things? He's going to be in high school soon and going through that. How much fun is it as a parent to watch those things?
It's an awesome feeling. It's one thing it's one thing for your son to love the game and you not put pressure on him. I never forced him to play basketball, which is something he grew up in, and he loves playing the sport and he loves getting better. He works out with a personal trainer on his own. It's not something I forced on him, and just to see him progress and get better, skill wise, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Then I try to see the things that I used to do at his age, and he's doing it better than I would never say this to him, but he's doing it way better than me at his age. And it's a wonderful feeling. And I'm interested to see how things progress, how he develops, and, the next journey. I mean, like you said, he's going to high school, you know, and it's a big step playing, you know, freshman basketball. So I'm excited, man. I'm very excited about it.
Do you have mementos from that run of the Final Four around the house? And have you tried to explain to him, or does he understand what a huge deal that was? That what a huge deal you and the rest of the team were for 3 weeks as far as in the United States? Or does he kind of go, come on, Dad, that was 15 years ago?
No, he sees it all over the house. It's everywhere. It's hanging on the walls. It's downstairs in the basement. It's everywhere in the house. And the blessing that I have is and that I'm still playing is I get to work out with him. So we're working out together with my personal trainer Keith Williams, and every now and then it'll be brought up. You know what I mean? Somebody I'm working out with, you know, mention the Final Four. And he's heard all the stories, of course, but for him to hear it again from somebody else saying, "Oh yeah, your dad did this, or your dad played like that," I know he likes it. I know he wants something for himself as well. You know what I mean? And it's pushing him to just, you know, be a better player. And that's another part that excites me also.
Obviously, following the run to the Final Four is probably the moment that stands out the biggest in your time at Mason. But if you had to pinpoint a couple of different moments during those 3 weeks or during that season, when people bring it up and say, "Oh, what was it like?" What's one of the first things that you go to?
The first thing is also, it's always the shoot around. That is probably was the most exciting part that I was able, because I was able to just focus on the crowd and just the environment. You know, when you're in the game, you can't really focus on everything else. You just, you know, you're locked in. But when we had that shoot around in Indianapolis, and it was 20,000 people watching shoot around, that is where I was just smiling the whole time. You know what I mean? Coach, you know, he let us be free. We shot some shots up. We did, you know, went over a small couple of drills, and then we was able to go and just, you know, shake hands, sign autographs. And, you know, that's coming from where the year before at the Patriot Center at the time, we only had maybe 3,000, 4,000 fans. You know, so you got 3,000, 4,000 watching your actual game, and then you go to the next year. Now you had a shoot around in the morning, just your team, and there's 20,000 people watching you guys just shoot. And that was probably the most remarkable time and the most fun I had at Mason.
Last thing for you, Father, I know from talking to all you guys, whenever it comes around, that there's still a group chat that goes on between a lot of the players. How special has that bond been for all you guys, from, you know, the three seniors and Lamar and Jai and Tony and Gabe Norwood and yourself and Will and, you know, Tim Burns and Sammy and all those guys that you still keep in touch? It's got to be pretty cool to look back and say, man, we went to war with these guys 15 years ago and for that NCAA tournament, and we're still here talking to each other and looking at, you know, pictures of each other's kids and everything else. How special is that group of guys that you played with?
It's definitely special. And I think you said it. The most special part about it is just seeing everybody evolve, get older, and seeing their kids. A special part, me, Will, and Gabe have a son that's born on the same day. So wow. July 16th. Different years, obviously, but July 16th. So they share that kind of Final Four bond. But again, it's just like you said, just seeing everybody's kids, seeing everybody get older. We can still reminisce on times, you know, at Mason, not even just from the Final Four, but, you know, different incidents, maybe at the, you know, room or, you know, parties or whatever. But it's definitely a special bond that you know, I would never forget. And I love all those guys, man. And it's special.
Well, fine. We appreciate the time, and it was definitely special watching you not only in 2006, but your entire career. You're one of the Mason best players to ever play. So, again, thank you for the time today, and we look forward to seeing what's next. And cross the fingers, maybe we'll have another Campbell in the green and gold in a few years.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that.
And now joining me, a classmate of Fowler and Campbell, Will Thomas, joining us. He, of course, was a sophomore on that Final Four team as well, now playing over in Russia. Will, first off, thank you for the time. We really appreciate it. Let's rewind now. It's been 15 years since you guys knocked off UConn to get to the Final Four. I want to go back to that game, and we talked to Tony Skinn and Lamar and Jai and obviously Fowler as well. What do you remember most about that game, especially in the second half? You guys were down 9 at halftime. You make the run to come back. You had a big game scoring 19 in that ball game, but what do you remember most about that second half comeback?
I think it was the crowd. They were definitely a six man. I don't think you could hear you couldn't hear the person that was talking next to you, and the energy everyone had in the arena, it was great.
When you look back and you guys basically ran the same set over and over again for the last 10 minutes or so, and they were playing behind you guys in the post, you and Jai, they never tried to double, they never tried to front. Was at any moment were you like, I can't believe these guys are just letting us dictate what's going on?
No, in the moment I wasn't thinking about it. Going in, I think we knew they were going to play one-on-one in the low post. And now looking back on it, I can't believe they let us do it. They didn't do anything to try to stop us.
A couple of the other guys talked about the discord on the court with the UConn players. Did you sense that as well, that they just weren't connected as much of a team as you guys were?
I think you've seen that throughout the season with them. They were a top #1 team in the country, but you can tell at times throughout the season that they just didn't have that connection where you could think they would win the national championship or anything like that.
So you and Fowler 2 years later lead the team back to the NCAA tournament. That one obviously didn't go quite as well as 2006 did, but Fowler talked about taking such great pride in being able to get the team back there in 2008. Is that the way you view that season as well, that you guys got a conference championship, you got back to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it's I think it's a great accomplishment to get to the NCAA tournament. Winning the CAA, I think every player that comes through, well, at that time through Mason, we wanted to win a CAA championship because they hadn't, I think we hadn't done it in maybe 7, 8 years at that point. And it was just a big accomplishment for us because we got a taste of the Final Four and we kind of knew what it take to get there, but it is a tough road to get there. And we knew we just had to get our foot in the door, and we had an opportunity to get there again.
So post-career, you end up going overseas, and you've played in a variety of different countries. You're in Russia right now, but tell me what that experience was like the first time when you graduated in 2008, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into playing over in Europe. Where was your first team, and what was that experience like?
My first team was in Liège, Belgium. That experience, it was good for a first experience. Going to Belgium, it's not, obviously the culture is different from America, but it's not a crazy culture where it's kind of dangerous and dangerous place to be or anything like that. It was a nice place to start. Belgium at that point was a good league for rookies and maybe a 2-3 year player to try to enter into Europe and start their career. It was the season went well for me for a rookie. I mean, it's hard being away from family and friends for 10 months and adjusting to a different culture off the court. And I think I handled it well after probably like 4 or 5 months. And then once I really got adjusted and got comfortable, it was smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, talk to me about that. That's a great point. With it, you'd say going over there the first time that you guys have to adjust to not being around friends and family, to not being around people that you're familiar with in a different culture, speaking a different language, all those things. How quickly do you feel like you adjusted not only that first year in Belgium, but your entire career that you've been over there in Europe?
The first year it took me until about around Christmas time where I really felt comfortable. So about 4 months because you go in around early August, mid-August to the training camps and things like that and preseason games. And I didn't really get adjusted until around Christmas. And I don't know, it's just you have to find your way. Because when I came over, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to drive a stick. I had no clue how to cut my hair. I had to grow up very quick, unlike most university students that maybe you go home and live with your parents your first few months out of college. I was thrown into playing in Europe, going to a place, a new country, new culture by myself. And once I figured everything out, where the stores were, how to get to the gym, got comfortable with my teammates also, because we had a lot of Americans on the team. Once they started helping me out a little bit, because I was the only rookie on the team, and the other guy, one guy was over there for about 10 years at that point, a few guys over there for 5-6 years, and they kind of knew how things would go, and they would help me out here and there to help me with my adjustment.
How fun is it to cross paths with guys that you either played with at Mason or played against in the CAA or out of conference games? I'm sure at some point in your career there in Europe that you've had that situation where you've run across guys that you know from back in the States.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how you see guys' games evolve over the years. When you're in college, you may be a little weak freshman, and then see them 7-8 years later and they just running through people like they're not even standing there. It's pretty interesting. And I guess it's just it's nice to see a familiar face every once in a while.
You've had some pretty good success over there in Europe as well, Will. Your team winning the Euro Cup, I believe, in 2019, that you were named MVP. Mm-hmm. Do I have that right? Talk to me about that experience.
No, it was a good experience. We knew we had one of the top teams in the competition. We just needed to go out there and show it every night. And then once we did that, we kind of almost went undefeated. I think we only lost like two or three games throughout the entire competition. And when we got to the finals, I love that time of the year when it's playoffs. Finals is just my time, I guess, to shine. And I showed what I could do and got finals MVP.
I know you've played for a bunch of different teams, but give me your best experience, whether it's because of the basketball or just the city that you were in, the country, that kind of thing, the fan base, whatever it may be. What's been your favorite stop so far in this 13-year career?
Definitely when I was in Malaga, Spain. That was my first time. I think I played in Spain. I think I played one team in Spain, like my first or second year out. But that was my first experience playing in Spain. I was able to play. That was my first time playing EuroLeague. It's high level basketball in Spain, the domestic league and in EuroLeague. And I guess once I learned that the NBA route wasn't going to really work out, that's what I was shooting for, to make it to Spain or Italy or maybe Russia and also play in EuroLeague.
So 13 years in now, how much longer can Will Thomas continue to play basketball as a career? And what's next for you when you decide to hang up the sneakers?
I don't know how many more years I got. It's really about how the team, what type of money the teams are offering at this point. Because of the whole pandemic, everything is really messed up. And I just have to wait and see this summer what teams are offering. If it's worth coming back, I'll continue to play. If not, then I'll go home and be with my kids.
Well, what's next after the career? Do you want to stay involved in basketball somehow, or have you even given it any thought?
As far as I don't want to be a coach. I don't know if I'll stay involved with basketball, but that I really don't know right now. I think I just need to get home and really get settled, because I have yet to do that, because I come home for about 60, 70 days every summer. And once I get a few months home and really figure out what direction to go to, then I'll probably find something.
Our last thing for you, Will, I'm going to throw some numbers at you, and you tell me, again, what this all means to you. You finished number 10 in Mason history in scoring. You are number 3 in rebounding. You are number 1 in field goal percentage. You've got your name is all over the record books at George Mason. Talk to me about what that means to you to leave that kind of legacy, looking back on it now that it's been 13 years since you last played and put on a Mason uniform. What does that mean for you to hear that your name is still up there in the record books as high as it is?
That's amazing. I put in a lot of work. Obviously, I was around great teammates, coaching staffs to help me achieve those goals. It's just an honor. Still be at that high in the record books. I didn't even know. I know I moved down in the scoring list, but the rebounding and the field goal percentage, I didn't know I was still at the top.
Yeah, you've got your number 1 all time in the career. You've got the number 1 in the season and number 4 in the season as far as field goal percentage. So yeah, I don't think you're going anywhere as far as the record books go anytime soon. But Will, thank you for the time, man. It's been great catching up. I appreciate it. To all your teammates, I know you guys still keep in touch. It's a great thing to hear that you guys are all still kind of brothers in arms as it is from that run 15 years ago. So thank you for the time. Good luck the rest of the season there in Russia and over the summer, wherever you may end up. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's Will Thomas. This has been Final Four Rewind, brought to you by Jim McKay Chevrolet.